Hello, welcome to another exciting session of Tech Talk. Yes, it is St. Hayden's Day, and Mike has got a topic for us to answer some questions today. Is that right, Mike?
To get stuck into, absolutely. Today, we're going to be discussing all things 55T vacuum related, some issues that you can come up against, and that's what Hayden is all about today. Always good to pick his brain. It was actually Hayden's choice of topic today, so I feel like he's going to have a lot to tell us.
And wonder why, because I'm sure he gets a lot of phone calls about this one.
No pressure, Hayden.
Do you want to tell us what the main problem that everyone has?
The main problem with a 55T is it really sucks, which is not a problem. It's actually awesome. That's actually awesome.
What is a 55T? Why am I in the dark here?
55T is our three-phase vacuum, the one in our AIRWORX range, Josh.
Gotcha. Like Angelina, Scarlett,
Absolutely.
Megan.
all my exes. Yeah. All right.
Well, if we're going a shameless plug, I'm sure we can probably put a link up to the website to the AIRWORX product range.
All right. Just want to make sure everyone knows what we're talking about before we start getting into it, nitty gritty.
Absolutely. But yeah, so what are some of the common problems or issues you have customers ringing with? Sounds like it's a common thing and it happens all the time, but I personally don't get many people ringing with issues. So what is it, power related? Is it red lights coming on? Is it what? Talk to us. Let's go.
Well, yeah, the most common call I get is probably, why is the red light on?
It's ready.
It's ready. It's activated. It's good to go.
You'll have to name the next vacuum Roxanne. Turn on the red light.
It's a red light down on the frequency inverter, in between the power switch and the speed dial. And it's an indicator of either a fault on the machine or that it's drawing too much current. And there's numerous reasons why that can be. Anyone here tell me one?
Your power supply is not adequate.
That's a very good one. That's true. So as we know, we've discussed earlier, your voltage and current do this. So if the voltage is down, your current goes up, and you've got a current limit set on that vacuum, and you reach that current limit before you get to that 100% performance you're looking for. So low power will certainly hinder the performance of the vacuum. Bad connections in leads, anything along that line, generators that aren't performing accurately will do the same. Good terminology is, if you're in your car and you put your foot to half throttle, you're sitting at about 2,000 RPM, depending on what car it is. Put your foot to the floor, you should get up to about 4,000. Now, if you don't have enough fuel coming through, you're never going to achieve that, are you? You're always going to come short. And that's the same thing on these vacuums. Everyone jumps in, turns it straight to 10. 10 will work fine if you've got the power to draw and provide for it. But if the power's not good, then certainly you're not going to reach that.
So rather than building
I've got a question.
Machine to suit lesser power, we've actually built the machine to work with the maximum power that you can be supplied.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would go as far as saying it's like having a high performance vehicle. The difference is between stuck in traffic and being out in a racetrack.
Yeah.
It's conditions related.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mel.
No, you're right. I'm pretty basic. I plug things in and they tend to work. But when things don't work, how do I know what kind of power I'm getting? What am I looking at? Is there something I can tell me, this is good power, this is bad power, this is okay power? Or Josh, do you recommend putting a finger in it? See if it's good, okay.
Terms and conditions mostly apply here.
It's an interesting question, Milan, but you sell these things, right? Maybe you should probably know this sort of stuff, but sure, thanks for asking the question.
What's the answer to it?
What's the answer? Tell us.
We'll be right back up. It's your commercial break.
The teleprompter isn't working.
There is a way to find all this information out, because that inverter on the side of the 55T actually has a screen on it. And on that screen, it's pre-programmed to have your DC link voltage, how many amps you're drawing, your frequency that you're trying to achieve, and what the machine's actually achieving. So between those 4 bits of information, you can determine good power, bad power, blocked filters, blocked inlets, things like that. It's all there to be able to help assist with that. Everything that they need to work this problem out is on the machine.
All right, most common
problem that causes it? Look, I do get a lot of guys, especially guys that have moved from a single phase vacuum up to a 3-phase. Their biggest cause is they put the skirt on the machine hard down, everywhere, all the way around the machine. Now that's no different to putting your hand over the end of the 3-inch cam lock and just blocking the machine entirely. And when you do that, that red light comes on because you're pulling too much current. So guys need to remember to keep the front of the skirt lifted up a little bit because you need airflow running under the machine to take the heavier dust away. If you don't do that, dust just builds up underneath, nothing happens. So it's all about keeping that airflow going, checking in inside your cam lock, make sure you don't have grout blockages and things like that in there. Check all your hoses, things like that, make sure there's nothing clogged up. A good test is take the hose out of the front of the vacuum, run it on 10, and you should be able to cover the machine almost entirely over that cam lock before that red light comes on. If you can do that, then it's something further forward in the setup that you need to look at.
Cool. So that's sort of a bit of a process of elimination.
Correct.
Yeah. No, and this is quite often like people always call us up, hey, I'm looking to buy a generator. There's these different options here. Like, I think this one will do. I said, yeah, but are you looking for maximum performance here? I think it's really important that you get your facts straight from the get-go, set yourself up for success, buy the right equipment and the right power source, and able to get your gear running.
To maximum performance, yeah.
Maximum performance.
Absolutely. Because
I think that's pretty much like Josh said, it's all what the conditions allow. So if you set yourself up,
create the conditions.
If you create the conditions correctly, and that is having a sufficient power supply, then obviously you're going to be running. You're not going to be running much faster.
That's right, because you've got to remember on a 55T, all your other vacuums in the industry are running direct plug-into mains power, so they're only running at 50 hertz. On the 55T, you have the option of dialing it up to 70. So you're actually getting that 20% extra out of the same power source. So if that power source is already underrated, you're never going to be able to achieve that extra 20% because you can't even achieve your 50 hertz. So it's really important for power coming in, regardless of vacuums or things, to make sure that's good, because that's a common question across the board. Any machines, is always power-related problems.
It's like throwing more turbo boost into a Mitsubishi.
Well, the other thing as well, I said, but Daniel, I want to run it on 10 all the time. Okay, well, I've got the question for you. Do you run your car always full throttle?
Yeah,
exactly. So
Josh is like, your point.
So, like, if the conditions were right, what is a good setting to set your vacuum at, Hayden?
Well, look, I mean, anything above sort of 7 on the dial really is a bonus at the end of the day.
Going into boost territory.
Yeah, that's right. So I would expect an operator to comfortably be running at 7s and 8s, and getting the job done. But again, if the conditions are right, they can dial it right up, to 10. But
you've got the power, you've got the correct flow, and everything's working in conjunction with each other. Put a separator in the mix as well and take some pressure off and things like that.
I actually, funnily enough, what you said with the lifting up on the skirt, what you don't realize as well, and people don't think about this that much, the actual airflow is actually really significant whilst actually grinding and polishing, because it actually cools your tooling. If you don't have that drawer with that front section open, then you won't get the cooling on the tooling.
You're losing
either.
some, yeah. Particularly as your tooling begins to get past that halfway point of wear, you lose a lot of the fan-like cooling effect that it automatically generates. So you're looking for something else. And so if you've got the skirt up in the front and you've got a good consistent draw, you reduce the operating temperature.
Absolutely. So coming back to the 4 things on the screen, what is the most important one to look for? Where do we want to be sitting with, let's say, the receiver linkage?
Look, the first thing you want to look at is the frequencies that are listed on there. One's an output frequency and one's a reference frequency. Output means what the motor is getting to. Reference is what your speed dial is set to. If those two aren't matching up, meaning your speed dial is set to 70 hertz, but you're only achieving 60, there's something going on in the system, whether it's hitting current limit, whether there's a blockage. So that's the first thing you need to look at and determine, are they matching up? Secondly, after that, then you're going to look at obviously how many amps you're drawing, and then look at your DC link voltage. And if your DC link voltage is low, which on average we want to see in the mid to high 500 volts, depending if it's generator mains, things like that. But if it's dropping down lower, you want to start looking at what's coming in. Again, could be burnt out plugs on a lead, could be contactors somewhere along the line, could just be that you're a long way from the power source, could be a generator performing badly.
So
things you need to look at in there.
Baseline lowest voltage that we want
for the DC link. Look, with the vacuum and machine running,
not running.
Not running. Look,
standby.
Not running's hard because it's like a car battery. You can have 12 volts in a car battery. You test it, it's fine. As soon as you try and start, car doesn't start. Meter, 12 volts.
Yep.
Put the meter on while it's starting, 0 volts. So standby gives you a gauge, but it's when running is when it's under load, and that's when the most power is being drawn.
So that's the most important time to be checking it.
So you can have a dropped phase and still read 600 volts on DC link voltage, but as soon as you go to power it, it drops down below 400.
Yep.
So standby is an indicator of, if you've got bad power at standby, you're never going to have good power on load. But under load with that vacuum running and the machine running ideally, will give you a really good indicator of your power. But again, if you're below sort of 430.
Benchmark for when under load?
When under load, I would be saying that you probably want to be around about your 560. Would be your benchmark.
And what's the lowest we want to see? Say we pulled it back to 7 or 6 to try and compensate for low voltage.
I mean, look, anything below, once you get down to your low 500s, you're going to start cutting out and get low voltage cut out on the inverter.
Your amps are going through the...
That's right. So your amps are coming up and you're going to get problems going on. So again, you got to look at what it's reading out and give you...
I've just plugged my machine in, Hayden, and it's telling me I've got 413.
You've got a dropped phase.
So I already know straight away it's not even worth switching that thing on because I don't have 3 phases of power coming in.
Correct.
Well, that's a good little tool to have.
So even though you've got soft start, you're still not going to get anywhere.
It's going to be very soft.
I mean, in all seriousness, as Milan said before, I mean, to have that diagnostic unit as part of the vacuum, it's just priceless, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And like you said, like plugging the machine into the vacuum too, that'll have an effect on the overall power that you're getting too. So having that speed dial allows you to continue grinding, even though you're getting, you have to turn it down, allows you to keep going. Whereas in some instances, if you didn't have the variable speed, you'd be packing up tools for the day and waiting for the Sparky to fix it. Would that be the right thing to say?
Variable income.
Now I've got another scenario for you that this vacuum assists with, and that's you've got everything plugged in, your vacuum's turned on, you go to start your grinder, but your grinder comes up with overcurrent. What do you do?
You're meant to be answering the questions today.
We call Hayden.
Yeah, that's right.
Call Hayden.
Hey, if you've got too much power, man, you've got too much power.
Right, your vacuum, you go up to your vacuum and you go, hey, my DC link voltage is fine on here. My machine's on. Remember, your grinder's got the same DC link voltage indicator on it as well. So you go to your machine and its DC link voltage doesn't match up with the one on the vacuum.
So you process of elimination again.
All of a sudden, to my vacuum is good power. From my vacuum to my grinder, something's wrong. Check your lead. So you've got all these tools on site that you can utilize when you're out there by just plugging in, opening that door with that key that we have, and checking what's on those drives there. So there's a lot of extra functions that screen on that vacuum can assist with.
I did have one question for you though, Hayden. It's a very general question, and look, I know we're talking about 55Ts and vacuums, but I suppose it's a general vacuum question. How often do we change our filters, be it the primary stock filters or secondary filters? What's a rule of thumb? We know if you're going to go sucking up a paddock full of mud through your vacuum, obviously it's going to need changing sooner rather than later. But what's a bit of a rule of thumb, do you think?
Yeah, look, this is an interesting one because everybody asks me this, and as soon as I give them my answer, they go, "Oh, but I don't grind every day."
Everyone
I know. So look, rule of thumb, 6 monthly. If you're an operator that's using your machine, on a daily basis, in the industry, if you change your primary filters every 6 months and secondary filters every 12 months, you're generally going to keep the performance of that vacuum. Again, it also depends what vacuum it is. Some vacuums don't have primary filters; they only have one. So there's a few variations in that, but a rule of thumb would be primary filters 6 monthly and 12 months for your secondary filters.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, especially with primary filters, I know, and look, I'll only really vouch off the top of my head because, we plan everything before we do these tech talks, don't we? But primary filters, a set of 7 socks, what are you talking, $300-400 or something? It's not, it's $400 and something. It's not thousands of dollars, or it doesn't need to be booked in. It's something you can do yourself.
Well, it's not like $1,600 like other companies,
You both knocked it on the head again. Is if you're buying a new vacuum, ask the question: what is servicing cost?
People underestimate the filter costs out there.
Running costs.
There's even a very large vacuum out there, and one filter, $3,800.
Wow.
Very large vacuum, very large cost.
No, that's right.
And it's
I know we always talk about cars. I guess it's just like asking what the servicing cost is on when you're buying a new car. Same scenario, I guess.
Speaking of all things high, what does it mean when I get over temp on that little computer? What does that mean?
Over temp. So a lot of the time that's due to blockages going on within the machine. So what happens is the blower's trying to suck all this air through, and you start restricting the front of it, and it starts, cavitating. It's just got no air to pull through, so it's pulling more current than it needs to. And then as that current comes up and gets higher and higher, the inverter reads that and says, oh, the current's getting up there, but it's not spiking, it's coming up slowly. And it sits at a certain amount for a long period of time. It says, if we keep going at this rate, we're going to cook that motor. So then it shuts down, right? So it's looking at it going, if we keep going like this, we're going to kill the motor.
So same thing like with the skirt you were saying before,
Correct.
That restriction.
That's right. So if you really over-restrict it and sit high up on that current limit for a long period of time, you're basically, there's no air to cool it, just as they were talking before. Air going through that blower in the vacuum cools it as it's going. And if you're not doing that, it's created heat inside, and then you're going to fry that motor. So that's another big one that does come up is over temp.
All operators remove skirt restrictions immediately.
Well, the other thing as well, let's say if we didn't have dead warning like a lot of other vacuums don't, that means we have a cooked motor and looking at $5,000, $4,500 to $5,000 in a motor replacement.
That's right.
Hey, we're saving you money.
That's right. The amount of protections that inverter on that vacuum does, from soft start on generators, not power spikes, from all the monitoring it does, from all the the variable speeds that it does, bang the buck out there.
Yeah, it's like as Milan said before. Again, in all seriousness, about having that system on there. I mean, that was when I started with WorksPal, I thought that was very impressive. And you're just following suit, as you mentioned, that your grinder has that same drive. Why wouldn't you vacuum? Why aren't you up to date with technology?
Yeah.
It's it's 2022, and these sorts of things should be the way things are. I think.
Now, can I share my favourite part of the 55T with you?
Go on then.
Where is it? Oh, yeah.
Oh.
The remote. Yeah. She's loving it.
What is that for your garage? What is it?
So is that you press the button and it empties bags for you?
It's soft, it's squishy, it makes noises. It's got a red light.
You're probably turning on a 55T right now.
Somewhere right now, there's 55T.
So tell me the advantage of that. What's the advantage of having a remote?
When that pesky Works Plus salesperson's ringing you, you can just press that button and obviously take a phone call if you need to, if a customer's calling, anything else. And obviously there are other big advantages, but I won't finish them all. What do you think, guys?
Oh, look, I love it because takes a bit of time for the machine to wind down and for the dust to drop. So if I'm working over at my grinder, or even if I've got a radio control machine and I want to switch off and change bags, hey, if it takes 30 seconds for the thing to slow down, the dust to drop, I'll switch it down before I'm walking over to it. By the time I get to it, it's ready to go. All I do is give it a shake, close the valve, and hit that button again, and off we go. So I just keep the work constantly going.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I like
Love
that.
it. Right.
9 out of 10 operators tell me how much they love that. And the 1 out of that 10 are the guys that have lost it.
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's kind of like if you've used a radio control machine, a grinder. Once you've gone to the radio control or radio start stop on the 55T, I cannot stand going manual anymore.
So does that mean you can buy spares of this?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Oh, you can. So you just buy it and they program it. Again, I know we talk about like a car.
Can be programmed. You have to bring it into program because basically you've got to get into it on the inside of the drive. So definitely not a safe thing to have people powered up and sticking their fingers in. So you can get replacements, but it does need to be programmed by someone who knows what they're doing.
Well, but I like another feature. Hey,
What's that, mate?
I like the little 240-volt outlets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to run your hand grinders, little vacuum. I bet that you need a little vacuum. No, but you should want to plug one in.
So that'll just when you plug in your 3-phase, they're just up and running, are they? Or?
Yeah.
There's 2 single-phase outlets. So if you're running one 3-phase lead into the, say you're doing a house job project, you've only got to run that 3-phase lead, and then you've got some single-phase outlets right where you're working.
But I think the point I was trying to make is 5-pin. must be a 5-pin outlet, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's 4-pin, no problem, but just those outlets won't work.
Yeah, you got to have the neutral.
Yeah, so you've got no problem. As I say, you're still up and running as usual, but you just miss out on the opportunity to run those 240. So 5-pin lead for that.
The other thing, guys, disclaimer, it's not designed to run your 450 off the side of it, all right? Plenty of guys try to do it, but it's not designed. So what it'll do is when you power up, it'll actually detect a drop in one phase and the inverter will come up saying, oh, there's a problem with power coming in. So hand grinders and hand tooling, it's all good, but yeah, don't try and plug your 450s or 420s into it to do etching.
Just Breville machine, lava lamp, away you go.
Is that a red lava lamp?
Yeah.
Approach your toasties.
Set of lights helps you see.
Yes. No, that's a very good point, Milan. We spoke about that previously, didn't we? About maybe having some lights set up on there, ready to go. You've got your lights on your grinder. Why not the vacuum?
If that was me, I would crack a little fridge in because I'm feeling like a cold beer.
That sort of time.
I'd put a big screen TV on it so I can watch a State of Origin.
You're going to have to wait till next year.
I love soccer.
Hey, where are you, by the way, Milan? Why are you so far away?
Back in the dry state, New South Wales.
Well, so nice to have you.
Not us.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We'll have a cold one on you.
For me or on me?
Next time we catch up.
All right, sounds good.
It's a good one today, guys, and how good is it to have Hayden in? So we'll have you back again, mate. I think.
Lovely.
It's fantastic.
Good.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's it.
All right,
Guys,
guys.
all the best. And you know what? If you haven't got a 55T yet, you'll be missing out because it's state of the art.
It sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't suck. Actually.
All right. See you
All right,
guys.
guys. See you, mate.
See you,
See you
Milan.
guys. Have a good weekend.
Keep up the good work, everyone. Cheers.